Hey guys, we're on the edge of town here and you can see the development, the housing development that's directly behind me. You can hear sounds of it, the native sound of the ratchet drill going on occasionally. And I'm standing in a farmland that surrounds the town, and the proposal is to expand the city limits into this farmland and then beyond as the town size, population size doubles and even triples over the next decade. What we're going to look at today is native species versus non-native. So some species have been here for thousands of years, species of plants specifically, and some were brought over about 200 years ago with a settlement, European settlement of this continent. Okay, many species were brought over as ornamental garden plants, or as medicinal herbs, or as nutritional garden plants, and they've escaped the settlers' gardens and they've moved into the wild, and now they can't really be differentiated from native plants, but they do cause a lot of damage in some cases. So we're going to look specifically at some of those, and then I'm going to ask you to find one species that has been introduced to Ontario and answer a few questions about it. So its name, where did it come from, and what impact is it having on local ecosystems. So we're going to look at a couple examples right on the edge of this forest, okay, and going in to this woodland down towards the creek. And then I want you to choose your own introduced species that you're going to look at, so just one. All right, and there's a killdeer here actually trying to draw me away from the nest. Thinks I'm trying to look for its eggs, and it's doing a pretty good job at trying to lure me away. I can't find the nest because it's brown and on the ground, but that's a topic for another day. Anyways, we're gonna get into the woods. Here we go. All right, so here we go along the edge of the forest. Now, species that live here need a lot of light, so they're not shaded by the trees too much. This is on the south side of the forest, so you're gonna find along this edge, you're gonna find species that demand a lot of light. So the first thing we've got that's kind of cool is wild strawberry. So this guy's got a white flower and a yellow center. It's very close to something called snakeberry, which is an invasive species from Asia. But this one is wild strawberry, and it's got a honeybee right there pollinating the flowers. It does have tiny edible flowers a bit later, so that's the first thing to notice, and it spreads pretty quickly. You've got it all along this border edge here. Okay, next species is this one here. Now this is called garlic mustard, and garlic mustard is a non-native and very invasive species. So this was brought over in the 1800s because it has nutritional value as an herb. It's packed with vitamins. It is actually edible. I don't know how good it tastes, but I guess we could try it out at your own risk, of course. Look, don't just go eating stuff from the forest. This plant is incredibly invasive, so it can produce up to 60,000 seeds per square meter, and it doubles in size in the area that it takes up every 4 years or so. So if you see this in the forest, you can tear it out, and it competes with and displaces a lot of native species. Okay, so there is no harm in just ripping that out, although you really won't make a difference as its roots and seeds spreads very, very quickly. Okay, over here we've got common burdock, and this thing will shoot up and make those really sticky burrs, of course. Okay, so that guy here loves edges, it loves disturbances. So if you plow a field, you're going to uproot a few burdock seeds and you'll see new common burdock growing really quickly. Same thing with with the garlic mustard. The seeds apparently can exist for 30 years in the soil. So if a field is plowed or an area is disturbed, those seeds come to the surface, they get a little bit of moisture and sunlight, and all of a sudden you've got a patch of new garlic mustard where you thought you had a nice clean garden or field. Okay, moving along the edge here, we've got more garlic mustard. So here we've got a whole patch of it. You can see how thick it grows, and the roots displace any other native root. So this thing can damage forests pretty quickly and displace some pretty cool native plants. So that's the difference between native and non-native. Okay, some non-native plants become invasive and some just disappear. Like if you were to plant a tropical plant, of course, in the forest, it would die over the winter. Not so with something like garlic mustard. Here we've got what looks like a straw from somebody's ice cap. Thank you very much. We'll take that out and get rid of it. If we go into the forest here, we've got a couple other plants. Remember, I want you to look up at least one invasive species or a non-native species that's come into Ontario, either accidentally or intentionally, and do a little bit of research about it. So what is its name? Post a picture into your learning log and tell a little bit about that plant. Okay, something else we've got growing in here, the last plant that I'll mention, is a native plant. It's a really cool one that you'll find in a lot of moist forests, moist mature forests, and this one is called Trout Lily. So this guy is named Trout Lily because if you use your imagination, the leaves are sort of speckled like a trout, and it does have a little yellow flower which hasn't come up yet in this one, but unfortunately garlic mustard will, that's growing right here, here's garlic mustard will push out and displace native plants like the trout lily. So that's one of the concerns when we introduce species either accidentally or intentionally into the forest. So I'm gonna see if I can find any flowering, but it doesn't look like there's anything around. All right, there's your little field trip for the day from the comfort of your own home. You can get out and try to find some of these species if you'd like, and depending on what your home allows right now, but I would like you to research at least one non-native species that has moved into Ontario, and tell me a little bit about it. So write at least 5 sentences about it, put a picture up there, and that is your question of the day. Good luck.